The moment you stepped into their world, something shifted, and they are still trying to understand what exactly happened. This message is coming straight from their heart. And as you listen, only take what truly resonates with you. But there is someone whose entire energy has been stirred up by your presence, and they don't know whether to feel shaken, intrigued, or completely pulled in. They keep asking themselves one silent question: where did you come from? There's a masculine energy here who feels deeply triggered by you, not in a negative way, not in a hostile way, but in a way that shakes something buried inside them. It could be the way you carry yourself with quiet confidence. It could be the way you speak, calm, measured, thoughtful. It could even be your personal journey, the strength behind your softness, the wisdom behind your smile. Whatever it is, you touched something in them that they were not prepared to face. They feel both unsettled and magnetized at the same time. Before you came along, they were living life in their usual rhythm, moving how they always move, guarded, controlled, following their own internal rules. They had their world structured in a way that felt safe and predictable. And then you appeared. And now that structure doesn't feel as solid as it once did, they're still trying to figure out what role you are meant to play in their life. They're observing you carefully, watching how you move, listening to what you say, trying to understand whether you're temporary or whether you are something far more significant. This is not someone who rushes when it comes to matters of the heart. In fact, they move slowly because they've learned the hard way that opening up too quickly can cost them deeply. There is a spiritual undertone to this connection that they can't ignore. It feels like two completely different worlds collided. They may come from a background that is very different from yours. Their life experiences may be heavier, more intense, more complicated. They have layers to them, layers built from survival, from hardship, from lessons learned the hard way. There's a shadow side to them. Not darkness in a negative sense, but depth. They have seen things. They have experienced things that shape them into someone who keeps their guard up. They don't trust easily. They don't open their heart without reason. They learn to protect themselves early, and they live by a code that keeps them safe. And yet, despite all of that, your presence pierced through. That's what confuses them the most. You didn't force your way in. You didn't chase. You didn't demand attention. You simply existed in your own energy. And somehow that was enough to get under their skin in a way that no one else has. They feel like your arrival was intentional, almost divinely placed. It feels too aligned to be random, and it makes them uncomfortable because they are not used to things they cannot control or logically explain. If this person seems a little rough around the edges, if they seem guarded or emotionally reserved, understand that it's not about you. It's about what they've lived through. Their past shaped them into someone who analyzes everything, someone who looks at the world through a protective lens. They scan for threats. They assess people quickly. They don't allow just anyone into their inner world. But when they looked at you, something different happened. All it really took was one look. It's your eyes. The first time your eyes met, they felt it instantly. Yes, they find you beautiful, gorgeous, even. But it wasn't just about your physical appearance. It was the depth behind your gaze. It was the quiet strength, the softness mixed with power. They saw layers in you, and that recognition hit them immediately. This is someone who reads energy well. They can sense when something is surface level and when something carries depth. And when they looked into your eyes, they felt depth. They felt a story. They felt experience. They felt familiarity. There is a sense that they recognize you on an energetic level. It caught them off guard how fast it happened. They're used to being the one in control, the one who stays composed, the one who doesn't get easily affected. But your presence made them pause, made them question, made them feel something stirring that they can't easily label. You may notice the way they look at you, those heavy, lingering stares, as if they're searching for answers in your face, as if they want to say something but hold themselves back at the last second. There's always something on the tip of their tongue, something they almost confess. But then their guard steps in and keeps it locked away. Over time, though, you might notice their energy softening around you. They may open up slightly more, share a little more. Let their walls drop just a bit when you're near. That's not accidental. That's the effect you have on them. They are trying to understand why you feel so different. They are used to a certain type of feminine energy, used to dynamics that are predictable, used to connections that follow a pattern they understand. But you don't fit into their usual categories. You don't respond how others respond. You don't play games. You don't try to compete for attention. You stand firmly in your own presence. And that presence is powerful. It challenges them without you even trying. It invites them to step out of their comfort zone. It makes them question the walls they built and whether those walls are still necessary. They are deeply attracted to you, yes. But this goes beyond attraction. This feels like curiosity mixed with respect, mixed with a subtle sense of destiny. They feel like meeting you wasn't random, and that realization makes them both excited and uneasy. Because if this is something deeper, then it means they can't treat it casually. They are still figuring out what this connection means, whether it's a lesson, a transformation, or something long term. They don't have the full answer yet. But what they do know is that you disrupted their world in a way that hasn't happened before. You didn't just enter their life quietly. You shifted something inside them, and now they can't ignore it. The moment you stepped into their world, something inside them shifted in a way they didn't expect and honestly weren't prepared for. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic on the outside. But internally, it felt like recognition. Like their soul paused and said, I know this energy. And that's what has been unsettling them ever since. There is a deep familiarity they feel with you, and it goes beyond surface attraction. Yes, they are drawn to you physically. They find you incredibly beautiful, almost mesmerizing. But what truly grips them is not your appearance. It's the depth behind your eyes. It's the quiet strength in the way you carry yourself. It's the sense that you've lived through things most people couldn't handle and came out wiser instead of bitter. You carry what can only be described as a gorgeous intensity. There's softness in you, but there's also power. There's light, but there's also depth. You may have gone through your own dark season at some point in your life. A time when you were forced to face yourself. A time when you had to rebuild from the inside out. Whether that was heartbreak, loss, betrayal, or a spiritual awakening, it shaped you. It refined you. It made you more aware of human nature, of pain, of growth. And even if you never openly speak about your past, they can feel it. It's almost as if they look at you and see layers. They see someone who understands struggle, someone who understands transformation, and that recognition creates both fascination and vulnerability inside them. Because when you meet someone who mirrors your hidden depths, it feels intimate without trying to be. Some of you may have literally walked through your own emotional darkness. Others may simply be deeply interested in the hidden side of life, psychology, spirituality, the way the human mind works, the unseen forces that shape people. But either way, you carry knowledge that most people don't. You see beneath the surface, and that is what sets you apart. For this person, the connection happened instantly. It was not something that slowly built over time. The moment they felt your energy, something activated. And that activation has been both exciting and unsettling for them. Because here's the truth, they were not looking for you. They were not searching for love. They were not trying to meet someone. They had their focus elsewhere. Maybe they were focused on work, personal goals, healing, or simply staying emotionally detached. They had their life structured in a certain way. Controlled. Intentional. Predictable. And then you crossed their path. That's why internally they've been asking themselves questions they never expected to ask. Why does this person affect me like this? Why am I reacting so strongly? Why does it feel like I've known them before? It disrupts their logic. It challenges their sense of control. Because this connection wasn't planned. There's something about your energy that triggers them in a way that forces reflection. You remind them of parts of themselves they've either healed from or hidden away. You mirror their resilience. You mirror their depth. You mirror their emotional intelligence. And when someone holds up a mirror like that, it's impossible to ignore. Every time they interact with you, they walk away thinking about it. Replaying conversations. Noticing the way you phrase things. Remembering your expressions. The pauses. The eye contact. It's like they are slowly collecting pieces of who you are, trying to solve a puzzle they didn't even know they were curious about. They sense there is more to you than what you show on the surface. Yes, they see your beauty. They may even be strongly physically attracted to you. But what captivates them most is your mind, your presence, the way you hold yourself, the way you don't try too hard, the way your energy feels steady, grounded, yet mysterious. That kind of depth cannot be taught. It's earned. It's developed through experience. And when two people who have walked through their own darkness meet, there's an unspoken understanding between them. This feels like two souls who have more in common than they realize. Two people shaped by similar inner battles, even if their stories look different on the outside. It may still be early between you. You may not have peeled back all the layers yet. But internally, they are already analyzing, already feeling, already recognizing. They were not seeking your energy. They were not ready for this kind of emotional pull. But your presence feels significant to them. Important. Almost destined. And what truly intensifies this connection is the realization that you feel like their mirror. Not just in personality, but in soul experience. In the way you both understand struggle. In the way you both value depth over surface. In the way you both carry strength quietly instead of loudly demanding attention. When they look at you, it's like they see a reflection of their own evolution, their own growth, their own hidden intensity. And that realization is powerful. It excites them. It intimidates them. It draws them closer. It makes them cautious, all at the same time. Because meeting someone who mirrors your soul is never random. It changes you. It forces you to confront yourself. And whether they admit it out loud or not, you have already made an impact on them that they cannot undo. The moment they saw you, something inside them shifted. And they've been trying to understand that shift ever since. There was something about you that felt familiar to them, almost unsettling in a way they couldn't explain. Not because you did anything dramatic. Not because you tried too hard. But because you didn't. You showed up as yourself. Calm. Grounded. Observant. And that energy alone hit them deeply. It felt like looking into a mirror they weren't prepared to face. You trigger this person, but not because you're loud or demanding. You trigger them because you reflect them. The way you respond to their energy is almost identical to how they move in the world. When they show up confident, expressive, and charming, you match that naturally. When they pull back, become reserved, or guarded, you don't chase. You don't panic. You don't overcompensate. You simply step back too. You hold your balance. And that's what confuses them. They may be used to people leaning in harder when they lean away. They may be used to being pursued, reassured, or emotionally managed. But you don't play that game. You don't feed their ego, but you also don't challenge it aggressively. You simply exist in your own strength. You let them show you who they are, and you reflect it back without drama. That kind of emotional discipline is rare, and it forces them to confront themselves. The more time they spend around you, the more they realize you operate by your own rules. You're not trying to impress them. You're not trying to secure their attention. You're not bending yourself to fit into their life. And because of that, they can't easily place you. They can't figure out your exact role yet. That uncertainty pulls them in even more. There's also a deeper recognition happening. It's like the moment they looked at you, they felt something familiar. Maybe you've both been through emotional hardship. Maybe you've both had to grow up faster than you should have. Maybe you've both experienced a period in life that forced you to become stronger, quieter, more self-aware. Whatever the details are, they sense that you understand things most people don't. You don't overshare your story. You don't lead with your wounds. But your energy carries experience. It carries depth. And they recognize that because they carry it too. There may even be visible differences between you. Different backgrounds. Different cultures. Different environments that shaped you. On the surface, it might look like opposites. But internally, the wiring is similar. The resilience. The guarded softness. The emotional intelligence. It's almost the same frequency. And that's why this connection feels intense. This person is very observant. They may not openly express everything they notice, but they're watching. They're paying attention to how you respond, how you hold yourself, how you don't overextend. And the more they observe, the more they realize you are mirroring them in a way that feels almost strategic, even if it's completely natural to you. You might not feel like you're doing anything special. You're just being yourself. You don't chase. You don't overgive. You don't overexplain. You let things unfold. But to them, that restraint is powerful. It feels intentional. It feels like you understand their psychology without them saying a word. And here's the deeper truth: they're falling for you. It happened quickly, almost at the same speed as the attraction. The moment they recognized that similarity, that shared depth, something inside them softened. On a subconscious level, they gave you access to parts of them they don't usually open up to others. This is someone who doesn't feel understood easily. They may feel like most people only see the surface of who they are. But with you, they feel seen in a different way. You don't try to dig into them. You don't force vulnerability. You simply hold steady. And somehow that steadiness makes them feel safe. Right now, though, they're trying to make logical sense of emotions that didn't begin logically. They may seem cautious. They may appear like they're testing the waters. It might feel like they're analyzing you or even putting you through subtle trial and error moments. But this isn't coming from manipulation. It's coming from caution. The connection felt instantaneous. And when something hits that fast and that deep, it can be overwhelming. So they slow it down. They stretch it out. They try to maintain control. They try to make sure they're not rushing into something that already feels bigger than expected. If you've been wondering how they truly feel, understand this: their interest is not surface level. It goes far deeper than they're ready to admit. They're still observing, still assessing, still trying to understand how someone who looks so different from them externally can feel so similar internally. But their heart recognized you before their mind did. And eventually, that recognition will need words. There will be a moment, a real conversation, where both of you open up about your experiences, your similarities, the things you've survived. When that happens, everything that felt unspoken will start to make sense. This connection isn't random. It's not accidental. It's two people who carry similar depth recognizing that depth in each other. That's why it feels intense. That's why it feels triggering. And that's why, no matter how cautious they try to be, their heart keeps leaning toward you. This connection isn't random, and you both feel it. Even though you seem different on the outside, inside there's something strikingly similar. It's like you share the same emotional depth. That's why it only took one look for them to recognize something in you. There's an energy of them thinking, "I don't want to feel this way." And you may not realize how deeply you affect them. It's not just your appearance that draws them in. It's your mind, your awareness, your depth. The more they get to know you, the more they understand that you see beyond the surface. And that's what unsettles them. Your presence feels like a mirror. You reflect their emotions, their energy, their truth right back to them without trying. When they pull back, you stay calm. When they open up, you meet them steadily. That grounded energy forces them to feel things they weren't prepared for. Every time they see you, something shifts inside them. It's not just attraction, it's recognition. And even if they try to resist it, they can't ignore how strong it feels. This connection is intense, revealing, and real. Whether they admit it or not, they feel it just as much as you do.